Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ibrahim Traoré's era. Today we bring you a story that has shaken the diplomatic world. A story of arrogance met with defiance. A story of how a young African leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, refused to bow to foreign pressure, this time from the unlikeliest of places, Israel. Yes, you heard me right. An alleged letter arrived at the presidential palace in Ouagadougou. It was delivered quietly, almost discreetly, through the foreign minister's office. Stamped with the seal of the Israeli embassy in Burkina Faso, it carried words that would soon ignite one of the fiercest warnings Traoré has ever delivered. What did this letter say? It demanded that Burkina Faso cut all ties with three powerful nations: Russia, China, and Iran. The Israeli officials claimed it would be best for Burkina Faso to sever relations with these countries, and that such a move would strengthen the so-called great relationship between Israel and Burkina Faso. But let me ask you, what right does any foreign nation have to dictate to Burkina Faso, to Africa, who its friends and allies should be? What arrogance is this, that a sovereign state is treated like a child being told who it can or cannot sit with? When the letter reached Captain Ibrahim Traoré, those in the room say he read it twice. Slowly, his jaw tightened, his eyes darkened, and when he placed the paper down, he did not hide his anger. What insult is this? What arrogance is this, to tell Burkina Faso who we can trade with, who we can partner with, who we can call our ally? Do they think we are puppets? Do they think Ouagadougou is a colony of Tel Aviv? Burkina Faso is not a puppet state. We will never be told by Israel, or America, or France, or anyone, how to manage our alliances. If they want puppets, let them look elsewhere. We are not puppets, we are lions. Viewers, understand this moment. This is not just about a letter. This is about the deep disrespect Africa has endured for decades. Colonial powers dictated our borders. They dictated our economies. They dictated our leaders. And now, even nations far away believe they have the right to dictate who we should trade with, who we should call friend, who we should call foe. But Traoré is not Thomas Sankara's student for nothing. He knows that to be free, one must speak truth without fear. And that is exactly what he did. Sources inside the palace say his words were harsh, almost brutal. He told his ministers, "We trade with Russia because they respect us. We trade with China because they build with us. We work with Iran because they treat us as equals. What has Israel done for Burkina Faso? What have they built here? What blood have they shed with us? None. And yet they dare tell us to cut ties with our allies. Never." This was more than a rejection. It was a warning. A warning that Burkina Faso will not tolerate interference. Not from Israel, not from America, not from France, not from anyone. The news of this confrontation did not remain behind palace doors. Let me tell you, viewers, this arrogance is global. The West tells Africa, "Do not work with China." But does America not trade with China? The West says, "Do not trust Russia." Yet Europe buys Russian gas by the billions. They say, "Do not talk to Iran." Yet they themselves sit at negotiating tables with Tehran whenever it suits them. The hypocrisy is glaring. But they expect Africa to obey without question. Traoré's response shattered that expectation. And this is why I say to you, history is being made. Burkina Faso is teaching the world that Africa is no longer a chessboard. Africa is no longer a playground. Africa is no longer a puppet theater. With every refusal, with every defiant word, Captain Traoré cements himself not just as the leader of Burkina Faso, but as a symbol for a rising continent. But do not think for a second that Israel will forget this humiliation. They did not expect such a sharp rejection. They did not expect a young African leader to throw their demands back in their face. And now, like France, like America, they will whisper, they will plot, they will scheme, and yet they will fail. Because Burkina Faso has chosen its path, a path of sovereignty, of independence, of defiance. In Mali, Assimi Goïta sent a message of solidarity. Burkina Faso is right. No one can dictate to Africa who its friends should be. Sovereignty is not negotiable. In Niger, General Chiani echoed the same. This interference must stop. We stand with Traoré. We stand with Burkina Faso. Hypocrisy was exposed. Israel asked Burkina Faso to cut ties with Russia, China, and Iran. But do you know what Israel itself does? It trades with China. It trades with Russia when it suits them. It negotiates with Iran when it is in their interest. So why is it wrong for Burkina Faso to do the same? This double standard was not lost on the African people. They saw it clearly. They understood that the letter was not about best relationships. It was about control. It was about telling an African country, you cannot think for yourself. You cannot choose your own friends. You must do as we say. But Traoré flipped the script. His reply was a thunderclap. Stay away from our business. We are not your puppets. And those words will echo in the pages of history. Now let us be clear. This defiance comes with risks. Everyone knows Israel has powerful allies. Everyone knows the United States will not sit quietly. Everyone knows France is watching closely. But the people of Burkina Faso no longer care. They say, better to die on our feet than to live forever on our knees. The roar of Burkina Faso is no longer just Burkina Faso's. It is Africa's. Israel, as always, that Africa has no right to decide for itself. That Burkina Faso must choose its allies not based on its interests, not based on respect, not based on dignity, but based on the orders of others. But Captain Ibrahim Traoré tore that illusion apart. With his words sharp and fearless, he declared, Burkina Faso is not a puppet country. We cannot and will not be told how to run our affairs. Stay away from our business. And with that, the tables turned. The power dynamic shifted. The world was reminded that Africa is not asleep. Africa is not weak. Africa is not a child waiting for instructions. No, Africa is a lion. And the lion has roared. Think about it, my viewers. For decades, African leaders smiled and nodded when foreigners told them who to trade with, who to fight for, who to abandon. They accepted aid money like crumbs. They flew to Paris and Washington for approval. They begged for validation. But now in Ouagadougou, something different is happening. A leader has risen who does not beg, who does not bow, who does not fear, and the people are with him. That is what makes this moment historic. Traoré is not standing alone. He has the spirit of his people behind him. He has the solidarity of the Sahel Alliance beside him. And more importantly, he has awakened something in the hearts of all Africans. The belief that we can say no. Yes, my brothers and sisters. The belief that we can say no. No to France. No to America. No to Israel. No to anyone who thinks Africa is still a puppet on their strings. And let us be honest. This defiance will not come without consequences. They will try to punish Burkina Faso. They will try to isolate Traoré. They will attempt to destabilize, to bribe, to threaten. But none of it will work if the people stand firm. None of it will work if Africa continues to unite. Because here is the truth. Once dignity takes root in the hearts of a people, it cannot be uprooted. Once the chains of fear are broken, they cannot be repaired. Once a lion learns to roar, it cannot return to silence. This, my viewers, is the meaning of revolution. A revolution is not only about bullets or coups. A revolution begins in the mind. It begins when a farmer in Kaya, a student in Bobo Dioulasso, a mother in Ouagadougou, and a soldier in the barracks all say together, we will not be controlled. That is what Traoré has ignited. And history will remember this. Just as we remember Sankara, Nkrumah, Lumumba and Gaddafi, history will record Traoré as the man who told Israel, America and France, enough, we are not puppets. But the story does not end with him. No, the story continues with you, with me, with every African who refuses to kneel. The revolution is not Traoré's alone, it is ours. So I say to you, carry this fire, carry this courage. Refuse to be small, refuse to be silent, refuse to be ashamed. Stand tall, because Africa is rising. Burkina Faso has spoken. The Sahel has spoken. Soon all of Africa will speak. And when that day comes, no letter, no threat, no foreign power will ever again tell us how to live, who to love, or who to fight. The chains are broken, the empire is crumbling, and the dawn of a new Africa has begun. This is Ibrahim Traoré's era. The revolution is here. The revolution is now. The revolution is you.